Hey, what's up, you guys? Massive news, like completely out of nowhere. Like it's Sunday, like 10 o'clock while I'm making this video. And man, out of nowhere, we have two massive fights that Dana White just announced to us. We're going to go ahead and break this down, you guys. Please like the video, comment down below, and subscribe. So yes, as you guys just watched the video, Dana White has gone out and confirmed, Benoit Saint-Denis versus Dustin Poirier, as well as Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. And right off the bat, I have so many thoughts about this, but one thing that we can take away from this announcement was, initially when I watched this, I was thinking, okay, well, that's officially confirmed that Islam and Justin Gaethje, are set for their title fight. But it does seem that the way that, Dana White was talking about Arman Tsarukyan versus, Charles Oliveira, that this is, a title contention fight, number one contender, and the winner will fight Islam later on in the summer. If it were the case that Justin and Islam were gonna fight, they could have gone ahead and said, oh, well, we'll fight Islam later on down the line. But we never know. Maybe he's holding his chips close to his chest and he is gonna go ahead and announce, the Justin fight at a later date. But we did go ahead and talk about this, man. We did, in a past video, if you guys saw, I did go ahead and talk about how there were rumors coming out that Charles and Arman are going to be fighting in a potential title eliminator, just because they were posting around the same time that they had a fight coming up, a big fight coming up. And of course, in terms of big fights, we know this is a big fight, with massive title implications, and with both guys' names being attached to each other, this is just all around, it was crossing off every box, and it's on UFC 300, which man, I'm so excited for. This is the first real UFC 300 fight that has me like, damn, dude, I cannot wait to see this. So yeah, for my books, you're making Charles versus Arman, UFC 300. I'm super excited about it. This fight is 100%, main card material. And, now that we know this fight is official, it does tell us a couple of things. It does tell us that the UFC were unsure of putting Charles, in that number one contender spot again after, him pulling out from the first time. And I can imagine that it didn't help that, Arman Tsarukyan went out there and flatlined Beneil Dariush. And so, with the way that both guys' career are going, at the moment, I don't know, it's a hard fight to call. In my breakdown video about the news, I did say that I am leaning Charles Oliveira, but Arman Tsarukyan has incredible top pressure. His ground and pound, I think, is pound for pound, the best in the lightweight division. So I do feel that could give interesting challenges for Charles if he's on his back. But if we know anything about Charles, he's a person that likes to get the center of the octagon almost immediately, marching down his opponents. So it is going to be definitely interesting to see how Charles how Arman does with that type of pressure. And it's not like Arman can't be cracked. We've seen him crack. He got cracked by Joaquin Silva, and that was kind of like a massive indicator for us fans that it's like, okay, he can take a shot, but he can also be cracked. And we've seen it on numerous occasions. Charles is there in the fire at all times, at all moments. When he's able to clinch up with guys, knees, elbows, throwing all sorts of combinations, man. And with a guy that I won't say is as experienced, because I do think Arman has a lot of good experience. If you do a deep dive on this guy's record, man, and the win streak that he's had, like, it's crazy the amount of good names that he has on his resume. But I just don't think those are high quality names such as the ones that Charles has. When you're looking at Charles, he has guys like Dustin, Justin Gaethje, Chandler, those are the type of guys on his resume. Whereas Arman Tsarukyan, don't get me wrong, he has really good wins. Demir Magulov, that's an amazing win. Matt Frevola, that aged like fine wine. Joel Alvarez, he has really good wins, very underrated wins, but I just wouldn't put those guys at the quality level of the top of the lightweight division. So yeah, like I said, this fight definitely earns a lot of checks on my book, and I'm so happy that it's on UFC 300. And then we go into the second announcement, and man, I'm not upset at it. I'm definitely not upset at it, but I have a lot of critiques and a lot of things to say about this fight. And that's none other than Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint-Denis in a 5-round co-main event for UFC 299 in Miami, Florida. Right off the bat, the main thing to give away from this news is you got to give a massive props to whoever Benoit Saint-Denis's manager is, because the fact that they were able to pull this off is incredible. You got to think, Benoit is number 12 in the world, and not only did he get him an amazing spot on a huge pay-per-view card, you know, like UFC 299, you know, not only did he get him that, he got him the highest ranked contender in, you know, Dustin Poirier, number 3. A guy who, you know, here on the channel we have said, and even, you know, I think everyone knows, man, Dustin Poirier does not fight these up-and-coming contenders. So for Benoit Saint-Denis's, you know, manager to pull this off it's just incredible, man. And also, massive respect to Dustin Poirier, but what are you doing, bro? Now, you know, I'm definitely not going to be that guy that's going to say Benoit's going to run straight through Dustin Poirier. I'm not like one of these other MMA YouTubers where they think everyone that's, you know, new generation can run through the old generation. No, I don't think that happens. You know, I'm not going to go ahead and say Benoit's going to run through Dustin Poirier. But if you look at the facts, I mean, Benoit has looked so impressive in his last 2 fights, especially. Actually, last 3 fights. You know, what he was able to do to Ismael Bonfim, Thiago Moises, Matt Frevola. I mean, those 3 guys are very good fighters, man, and he was able to handle them like nothing. And man, so many people are high on Benoit Saint-Denis. They're all calling him the dark horse of the MMA, of the lightweight division, and really all of his, you know, popularity and all the fame that he's getting as of lately really came after he, you know, finished Thiago Moises. Once he finished Thiago Moises, I feel like so many people were high on him right after that moment, and it kind of sealed the deal for him, you know, at MSG when he finished Matt Frevola in the first round. But so if you were to ask me what next what's the next step with, you know, Benoit Saint-Denis, I would have told you, like, okay, maybe it's a Dan Hooker, maybe it's a Jalen Turner, probably some guy in like the lower half, you know, of the top 10. I would have never assumed that they're gonna schedule him against Dustin Poirier, like the number 3 guy in the world. Like I'm telling you, man, Dustin had no reason to take this fight, absolutely no reason. I think this scheduling of this fight kind of shows that Dustin Poirier was kind of just frustrated and he just wanted a fight. Like he needed a fight to get him back out there. Because yes, UFC 299, you know, that's a high spot for him, you know, co-main event, 5 rounds, those are high spots for him, but it's not like he can't be in those high spots just off himself with his name value. You could have put anyone in there with him and it would have done the same. He could have even headlined, man. And, you know, with this booking, it also kind of tells us that, you know, the talks with Nate Diaz were completely dead. Those were just those guys, you know, chatting shit to each other the whole time. And really it confirms what we've been saying here at the channel for a while now, that Dustin Poirier doesn't really have, you know, kind of a clear direction in his career. I don't know, man. I think when I think of this fight, I think Benoit Saint-Denis has a lot more ways to win than Dustin has. I remember hearing this guy talk after, you know, he fought Ismael Bonfim, which is, you know, in his opinion, this is what he said. He was saying that because Ismael is such a, you know, heavy boxer and, you know, he uses his hands a lot, his main game plan was to break his, you know, arms with his kicks. This is the same guy that's going to be fighting, you know, probably the best boxer in the lightweight division. So you can expect him, you know, he's going to be throwing those kicks out there. And, you know, because of Dustin's, you know, past history with like rear naked chokes, he might even be looking, you know, for a submission to take down Dustin and, you know, kind of grind him out. You know, in a lot of aspects, like, I know I'm definitely questioning this fight a lot, but I am excited that it is 5 rounds, that, you know, Dustin is going to be getting, you know, a fight. You know, I'd rather see Dustin fight than not. You know, I'm sure many people do, but it is one of those, you know, bookings that it's kind of like, why? Like this, like it is really random. More so on Dustin's side than it is for Saint-Denis' side. For Saint-Denis, this is perfect. You know, he's getting a top fighter, you know, and if he wins this fight, he's right in the mix for a title shot for sure. Besides my gripes about the scheduling, my number 1 gripe is, why the hell is this on UFC 299? Why? UFC 299 is already stacked within itself. Why would you not just put this fight on UFC 300? You know, Dustin Poirier was very vocal about wanting to fight on UFC 300. You know, this is a big fight against Benoit Saint-Denis. Why not just stick it on UFC 300? I mean, this is like, regardless of what I say and a lot of critics, you know, are going to say about this fight, once it happens, you know, these guys are going to swing and, you know, violence is for sure going to happen in the cage. Why not put this on UFC 300? what your people are already sold on, you know, Miami's 299. You know, why do you have to stick it on there? Like, just put it on UFC 300. And so, you know, with all that being said, I am glad we are seeing Charles and, you know, Arman on 300. But I would have been a little bit more happier if we would have seen Dustin and Saint-Denis on 300 at least. But, you know, I guess if we were going to get Saint-Denis and you know, Dustin Poirier on 300, it wouldn't have been 5 rounds. And I do think that 5-round aspect, you know, favors Dustin Poirier a lot more than it favors Saint-Denis. So yeah, that's my overall breakdown, you know, on the news. I don't know, man. Like, in some aspects, I am happy about it. I don't want to be a guy that complains a lot, but I think there were other ways you could have gone about doing Dustin Poirier's next fight. You know, me personally, I would have loved to see the Nate Diaz fight. I thought that was a fight that you know, should have happened. And I know a lot of people are, you know, excited to see Benoit Saint-Denis again and to see him against, you know, a much more favorable style like Dustin Poirier, a guy that's gonna, you know, deliver. I really think, you know, once we get, you know, later on and then we start getting, you know, to UFC 299, I will be a little bit more excited about this fight. But it's just, man, I'm kind of bummed out that we're not going to see Nate and Dustin, but still, you know, overall, I'm happy because we are going to see Dustin Poirier again. And, you know, I am glad that we are seeing, you know, Charles versus Arman Tsarukyan. But I hope more than anything that they do make Justin Gaethje and Islam. And, man, if you don't do that fight, then, you know, what's Justin doing, man? Like, why are you going to have him, you know, sit on the sidelines for more time? But, yeah, you guys, let me know your comments and your thoughts down below. Do you guys think, you know, this was the right scheduling for Dustin Poirier? You know, are you guys excited for this Benoit Saint-Denis fight? And who do you guys have in this official title eliminator between Charles the Bronx and Arman Tsarukyan, man? I know a lot of people are going to be rooting for Arman in this one just to see that rematch with Islam. But yeah, you guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Like the video, subscribe. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.